Hey guys, Ryan Bidoff here, blogging from paradise, reporting, broadcasting, being, unless the phone's falling, live in Amsterdam. So I'm trying to find a good setup here. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Before we dive into the live broadcast, the blogging tip of the day for today, just wanted to remind you that you could stop by blogging from paradise.com for smart blogging tips. I also sell an online course for bloggers if you want to get high quality backlinks, and I sell 7 ebooks, most of them for bloggers, one inspirational ebook and one for aspiring digital nomads. So today's blogging tip of the day is based on the idea of thinking big and what it really means. Now, most of us, when we consider this concept, we make a common mistake. I certainly have. We think it means running around like a wild animal or like a headless chicken, trying to get as much stuff done as possible in order to get quick results, or even if it's not to get quick results, like quick traffic and quick income, you may subscribe to this general idea to run around as wildly as possible, to do as much as possible, to succeed over the long haul. Neither approach is true. Neither approach is intelligent. Both approaches lead to burnout, failure, quitting, because thinking big does not necessarily mean acting big or acting crazy. And of course, it actually doesn't. Thinking big means calmly thinking, confidently thinking, mindfully thinking from a really relaxed space, away from the phone, away from the laptop, how you could make the greatest leveraging, highly targeted, most seismic impact with each action. That is completely different than trying to engage in a gazillion mindless wild actions, because one is based on doing things from an abundant, highly intelligent, analyst, chill mindset. The other approach is throwing all of that out of the door and wildly and desperately. I'm going to write it out, guys, because we're in a new location. I don't know if the connection will be a little suspect up here, but we're going to go with it. Trying to get as much stuff done as possible quickly. So you're thinking, oh, if I post 5 times a day to my blog, 600 word posts, that's thinking big. Get the content out there, more content better. No. You'll find that thinking big means setting aside 2 to 3 hours to write and publish one long-form blog post that drives organic traffic through Google, through social media. So that one long-form post that's like 1,200 words, detailed, practical, that begins to drive passive organic traffic through Google, Twitter, Facebook, your list. I mean, not passive organic, your list, but Pinterest. Maybe somebody links to it through Quora and through Reddit. You'll find that type of post, because you are thinking big and leveraging intelligently, will drive 10 times, 100 times, even 1,000 times more traffic than mindlessly, wildly writing and publishing 5 or 6 posts to your blog a day. So it is a completely different experience See, love is a lunch or not. An entirely different strategy and a radically different mindset. So I'll give you an example. Practically speaking, I felt an intuitive nudge to think a little bigger, at least today. We're just going to do it day by day. We won't get fixed in with this live video, depending on how the connection holds up. So I have to be flexible, but if it holds up okay, thinking bigger means setting aside 20 minutes or a half hour instead of 5 minutes or 10 minutes for the live broadcast to drill down in depth, which can, and it always does if I'm being frank, traveling permits me not to do this at times, or permits me to do this sometimes. Sometimes I just can't do it with my travels. I'll reach a lot more bloggers with this one action by devoting 20 minutes or half hour to this live broadcast than 5 minutes. So that's one example of thinking big. Instead of broadcasting live for a minute or 5 minutes through a number of channels, which it doesn't quite bring the same return. Actually, it doesn't bring anything close, if I'm being honest. Thinking big means, you know what? Set aside time on the one channel where you have more engagement through your live broadcasts, or one of the channels, and thinking, okay, I'm going to try to get work done through these other channels with this period of time. Give all of those 30 minutes or 20 minutes, but I'll try to go for 30, we'll see, to broadcasting live on bloggingparadise.com. So I'll see that with this action, thinking big, instead of getting 10 views or 50 or maybe 70, I'll likely get 100 or 200 or maybe even 500 of bloggers who want blogging tips, of bloggers who predominantly, because I'm building up a targeted following, bloggers who absolutely want these blogging tips. So it helps me reach the person I want to reach. I'm saying the person, but a wider group of people. I'll be making a greater impact, and I'll make this live broadcast work for me. However, with changes in Facebook's policy recently, because I'm being mindful now, these live videos are no longer evergreen. So Facebook now deletes them after 30 days. So thinking big means, okay, am I going to set aside an hour or 2 hours for something that I know will be deleted after a month? No. What would be a wiser use of my time to set aside, say, an hour instead of a live broadcast that will be deleted after a month? Like it or not. It's just Facebook's rules now, which is fine. My blog won't be deleted after a month because I pay a domain and hosting bills. So thinking big would be setting aside those, say, an hour instead of broadcasting live. You know, okay, it's not evergreen. Content will be deleted. I'll write another blog post or start writing another blog post, or I'll spend that hour promoting old blog posts across these channels because my blog's not going anywhere. Bloggingfromparadise.com is not going anywhere. Then you think, now that makes sense. My blog will be around. I've already paid the domain and hosting bills. I think we're through 2 years now. So I'm set. Or at least the domain and hosting through the year. So when I'm set, thinking big means spending most of your time, attention, and energy engaged in strategies that are evergreen, that create evergreen content that will be around for a while and will keep working for you. Yet, I'm going longer form on this video because I know it will reach more people for that 30-day stretch, more bloggers who want my advice. Another example could just be doubling down on creating long-form content as far as thinking big, which generates a lot more traffic and potentially more income passively. 1,200, 1,500 words, highly practical through all types of channels. If up until now you've just been publishing thin content, 400 word post, 500 word post, that's not optimized, doesn't have a lot of practical tips or steps. That would be another example of thinking big. Could be increasing the amount of content you publish. Got to keep the quality in mind, always. Yet it could be If you've been publishing one long form post a month, or one thin post a month, publishing one long form post a week. Or it could be promoting your old content more frequently. You haven't been touching it, you haven't been updating it. Thinking Big says, wait a second, I gotta double down with my blogging resource here. This is my blog. I gotta update old content to make sure that it's relevant, to make sure that readers get the most recent, accurate information. I better do that. It's got to start thinking big. So it all begins with understanding how thinking big does not mean doing a bunch more work mindlessly, because it's not the volume of action you take. It is the impact of every single action. It's a big difference, guys. I mean, the world thinks in reverse. We're so used to working jobs. So we figure if we work harder, put in more time, and engage in more activities, we'll get a bigger paycheck, or we'll impress our boss, we'll position ourselves to gain a promotion. It does not work that way with business. It doesn't. It's not about doing more things. It's about every single thing you do with your business. You want it. It has to ultimately, to eventually be free through this medium. You have to think big to allow each action to make the greatest impact to reach the most highly targeted, ever-expanding group of human beings. It requires a lot of thought, patience, confidence. You have to have posture. And developing these mental qualities is difficult, but doable. It's uncomfortable, but necessary. Blogging really is an inner thing. Blogging success is an inside game. It's all mindset, because the actions you take or don't take, the efficiency or inefficiency, the effectiveness or ineffectiveness, that's all happening 100% on a level of mind, meaning in your mind. Always. Look at this video. I'm telling you, okay, I'm going to set aside maybe 20 minutes to a half hour to think big and to make a greater impact, but nothing beyond, because mentally I'm aware that Facebook's going to delete it after the month. Now, that being said, I don't think, as far as thinking big, it's a total waste of time, because for 30 days, it will gain steam. Even for this first 20 minutes or half hour, it will gain steam for sure. So, but then I know I'm not going to devote 2 hours intuitively for something that after 30 days is gone, low shelf life. So think big by thinking confidently, calmly, how can I make the greatest impact with every action? So another example would be these text-only updates that I share. I know by now that the longer these updates get, as long as they're practical and helpful, when I really sit down and devote 5 minutes or even 10 minutes to writing and publishing one of these updates and adding an image, that is so important. That's thinking big. These are the type of posts that get the highest number of impressions, the highest number of comments, the highest number of likes, genuine comments now, the most social share. So I just know it. So it's about disciplining myself, and I'm still in the process of doing it, to publish only pretty much that type of content to make every action work for me. I also know thinking big means promoting my content more frequently, automating updates, because when I do it from a relaxed mindset, I'm not talking about increasing the volume of work mindlessly or wildly, but from a really slow thinking, chill, relaxed mindset, I get more clicks, I get more organic blog traffic. It's one-to-one for me, excuse me. But I had to think big and understand that doesn't mean, oh, I have to share 100 posts a day from my blog. So I have to rush. It's not about more action. It's about making every act count, which means you have to have develop or establish a very calm, confident, posturing, analytical mind to become aware, to set aside the time to slow down and calm down. And it is difficult because fear is going to keep coming up in your mind. You're going to keep running up against it. I know. Go through it every day. Any honest, self-aware blogger will tell you, yeah, I'm still going through this. That being said, I know what I'm doing, and I have a lot of experience to share because I've been through this stuff. But now I'm sharing some of my ebooks, which are available for sale at bloggingfromparadise.com, along with sharing my course, online course, available for sale at bloggingfromparadise.com. If the featured images don't come up on certain networks, like on LinkedIn they do, the featured images populate. I've gone into exploring options with Twitter and Facebook. Turns out if I just add an image to every one for Twitter and Facebook, the engagement jumps. So that's thinking big. Always add an image. Short testing periods when I don't, engagement drops. It's just playing the game. It's like, how am I going to make the greatest impact? If I'm going to share it so that it gets more attention from Blogging Tips bloggers. And these are just simple examples of thinking big. Thinking big consistently can be exhausting. Thinking big consistently can be a bit scary. Your mind's going to want to race ahead and say, let me get more stuff done, but that's not the answer. Thinking big is acting big. Take huge No. Don't buy into that. Massive inspired action, and right away you're thinking, most people intuitively, I don't want to say intuitively, but egoically, they just think, oh, that means doing a ton of crazy things. Cold call 1,000 people a day. Blindly spam pitch 1,000 bloggers. No. There's no return on that. Instead of wildly acting big, think big so you create the one piece of content, then the next one over the next 1 month, 3 months, 6 months that drives the 1,000 to 10,000 targeted people to you passively, organically, while you sleep, so you have freedom of time, freedom of location, slowly but surely. That's thinking big, because each piece of content you create will behave like an employee working for you around the clock, because you took the time to optimize it, to drill down in depth, to be highly practical, to target it, to share it in the right spots. That's thinking big. It's actually not taking massive, hurried, frenzied action, but calmly and confidently making every single blogging action count by leveraging it, by reaching as many people as possible who are highly interested in your offering. And that takes a lot of thought and a lot of mindful, deliberate, intentional work. As you're going through this process, you're going to keep slamming up against resistance in your mind, which is going to tell you, don't do this, you're wasting your time, it's not enough. And your mind and your blog maybe at times will kind of bounce back and forth like a ping pong ball. Especially your mind, you always feel like you're all over the place mentally. But the more you train your mind and you, I wouldn't say discipline yourself, but you just decide to be more and more self-aware, you'll see when the ego takes over and it will tell you in a panic, do more work, push more, share more, rush. And instead of trusting it and following its advice, you'll stand there, you'll let the fear come up in your mind, you'll observe it, you'll let it go. Then you will return to thinking big, leveraging with every action. Then you'll return to, instead of doing a quick live broadcast, maybe in 5 minutes or 3 minutes just to get a little cheap pop, 20 minutes you'll set aside, 30 minutes. So instead of reaching 5 or 10 bloggers or 20, you'll reach 50 targeted bloggers, 100, 300. Then that type of live broadcast, even if it's only available for a month, you'll see this will generate more targeted, organic, passive traffic. So during that month, that number will keep going up. And they'll all see bloggingfromparadise.com if you run the site like I do. But they'll see your blog, or a number of them at least, or some of them will see your blog, see your business. But when you're leveraging and thinking big everywhere, That's the secret. That's when the numbers, the success starts to expand. So I'm going to say that's roughly 20 minutes. I think that's good today because I'm hungry. I want to have some lunch here in Amsterdam. We just visited a lovely grocery store, picked up some stuff. I also want to make sure I'm thinking big by sharing my content. So as I was sharing an ebook here, I got a love. Thank you so much, my friend. I got some engagement. I got some love. Shared a few ebooks, and I'll be sharing them much more, I don't want to say aggressively, but frequently and consistently. I have been, but I'm just doubling down because it's just thinking big. And that's the case. We're sharing them more often, increasing the frequency is thinking big for me, but I'm being as mindful as possible to do it really slowly, calmly, and confidently, making these ebooks for sale a priority and my online course a priority, because I'm intuitively guided to do it. So the version's going to look different for everyone at times. Maybe it'll look somewhat similar, but that's not as important as the structural idea behind this concept, behind this live broadcast. It's not about wildly from a place of fear trying to get as much work as done, but calmly and confidently making each action, each piece of work, if you will, each live broadcast, each social media post, each blog post, each interaction, each genuine comment, making it as mindfully as possible, yield the greatest impact, leveraging it so it reaches as many people who are highly targeted as possible. People that want your help, people that become loyal readers, customers, and clients, referral traffic builders, referral business builders. It's beautiful when you get into this frame of mind, guys. So that's it for today. Pat myself on the back for sticking with it, basically. Not rushing off. Thinking big. As a call to action, stop by bloggingfromparadise.com. You click on the courses tab or ebooks tab or the store tab. I sell an online course for sale for bloggers, ebooks for bloggers, a couple ebooks too, one inspirational read and one for aspiring digital nomads. So if they resonate with you, check them out. Yeah, feel free to go for it. Make a buy, make a purchase, make an investment. And I also offer many blog posts, highly practical. It's over 400 now, which guide you with blogging tips at the yin yang. That's it for today, guys. Ryan Bidoff here. Until next time, stop by bloggingfromparadise.com for helpful, practical blogging tips.